Welcome back, everybody. Excited about this week again. We've got part 2 of a 2-part podcast on building your personal wealth. And like last week, it was a phenomenal week last week with lots of interest. Thank you very much for the feedback. And it seems that this topic is very close to people's hearts, and I can understand why. Because it is something that is very important in all of our lives. So today, last week we spoke about 7 aspects of building personal wealth. Today we're going to cover the last 7, so 14 in total. And what are we going to cover today? Excuse me. We're going to cover assets and liabilities. What are those? And more specifically, your personal lives. We're going to cover investment strategy, then financial structure, passive income, your route to freedom, and then don't work for money, let money work for you. Second last, we're going to cover how to make money. Money is an idea. And then finally, live a life of giving back. All right, so that is our focus for today. So let's get going on this. Very excited. Man, in our mining lives, personal finance is so important in all of our lives, not just in our mining lives, but also in our professional lives, and helping and building a legacy is super important. So why this topic on financial wealth? Well, if you get into a better financial situation, you manage your personal finances well, you get a lot of freedom to choose your career, your direction of where you want to go, and what you're really, really passionate about. So it's an important subject for everybody. And with the world going where it is going in terms of health and well-being and people looking after themselves and living longer, why do you want to retire at 60 years old if you enjoy what you're doing? And why not reinvent yourself halfway through your career and build a new, start something new, start something fresh, build a business, and keep on learning, keep on growing. And that's really the pathway for well-being and health, in my view, is that you have solid financial backing and a plan and a strategy that will put you in a very good position when you're in your senior years and you can start giving back and make the world a better place. So let's get going on the first one, which is assets versus liability. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is not the typical financial education that you get from a professional institute, a registered professional institute. And disclaimer up front, like last week, I am not a certified financial planner. I am not qualified to teach on finances at all. We are only sharing what we've learned over the years and what professionals and normal people that don't even have formal qualifications, when I say normal people, it doesn't mean to say other people are not normal. When I say everybody, it's really a model for anybody and everybody. And you won't find this in the business schools, but you will find this in successful business entrepreneurs and business owners that really understand what is the difference between an asset and a liability. Now, let's get going on that one. Well, an asset is something that puts money into your pocket, and a liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. So it's not the classical balance sheet definition of an asset and a liability. For example, a bank will tell you that your personal home that you have got a bond on and you're paying off your home is an asset. And the fact is, it's not. Let's use the definition of an asset takes money out of your pocket. Right. So if you've got a bond, you're paying off your house still. Do you spend money doing that? Yes, you're paying money on the interest for your bond. And so you have a small amount that goes off on the capital original amount that you bought the house for, or the property for, or an apartment. Then you have to pay rates and taxes. Doesn't matter which jurisdiction you are in the world, you're going to pay rates and taxes. You are also going to have insurance on your property. You are going to pay your normal utility bills of water and electricity. You're going to do maintenance on your property. So you have to repaint it every X number of years. You're going to have stuff that needs maintenance, and that is money going out of your pocket. Let's take another property, which is a rental property that you own. You've paid it off. You've got people in that property, and those people are paying you rent every month. You've paid it off, so you only have to cover rates and taxes and maintenance. And now you get, after you've paid rates and taxes and you have deducted a certain amount, like 5% a year for maintenance and your insurance, you suddenly have money coming into your pocket. Now that property is an asset. So very different to the definitions that a bank will use in terms of determining whether it's an asset or liability. Even a vehicle, in some cases, might be an asset. Let's use another example. So your personal vehicle that you use on a day-to-day basis, is that an asset or liability? And the bank will probably ask you, write down everything you own, and let's say you've paid off your vehicle. What would be the value of that vehicle after depreciation? So it loses value every year. And let's say you're in the third year of owning that vehicle, you bought it brand new. You probably will have some resale value for that vehicle. And therefore the banks will give it a term called an asset. So you can take it to a second-hand dealership, and you can trade the vehicle in for cash if you can get somebody to pay cash for it. And so there's a value attached to that vehicle, which the banks will call an asset. But when you look at building financial wealth, your definition of an asset is now different, because now that vehicle is a liability because you don't use it to earn income. It doesn't put money into your pocket. You still have to pay insurance on your vehicle. You still have to do maintenance on your vehicle. You still have to replace the tires every now and then. And what happens is that vehicle is a liability, which is why you should not be buying new vehicles if you can buy other assets that can put money into your pocket. And in the first podcast on this series, we've explained how the decision that my wife and I made to pay off our vehicles many years ago have really created a lot of wealth for us, in that we're still driving with 10 plus year old cars. But now let's take that same car, and you are a person that is doing marketing, and you driving around from town to town, and you are selling goods, you're marketing products, and you're getting sales from doing marketing and sales, and you're getting an income. Now that vehicle of yours is putting money into your pocket. If you didn't have the vehicle, you wouldn't have been able to see so many clients and make some money. Maybe you've got a mobile clinic and you're a professional health practitioner, and you see people all the time in different places in and around town or in a big city. Your vehicle is putting money into your pocket, and therefore that vehicle can be seen as an asset. All right, does it make sense? Okay, so that's really the topic or the first point of the 7 today on assets versus liabilities. So what do you want to do in your personal finances? You want to build your assets. You want to add more assets that's going to put money into your pocket. And you want to limit your liabilities. And so if you're staying in a home or in an apartment that you own, you don't want to go into the black hole of comparison and keeping up with the Joneses and then buying another bigger home or a more expensive neighborhood because you are under peer pressure from colleagues and professional peers and just the rat race that we all get pulled into, and then end up paying a bigger bond now that you've paid off on this property and go into another one, or buy a new car. Now that you've paid off the old one, you trade it in and you go and upgrade again. Those liabilities just add up. But if you can keep your liabilities as minimal as possible and keep it low, you will create wealth by just taking your extra cash, what's left over, and create more assets, buy more assets. Right. The different asset classes, which leads us to what's your investment strategy? And that's the second point for today. We all have different investment strategies, and you may have an asset class that you really like. What are asset classes? It may be property, it may be shares, it may be private equity. So you buy into a small company and you co-own a portion of shares in a small company that's not yet listed, or it can be a listed company that you really like and understand, like Coca-Cola or whatever, Apple. I'm not promoting any of these, it's just an example. And now you buy shares in those companies. They are traded on the public platform through a listed place like the Dow Jones or the New York Stock Exchange or Johannesburg Stock Exchange or whatever, Toronto, whichever part of the world you're in, London. And now you co-own a portion of that company by having shares. It may be that you are in bonds, or you have a financial advisor and you have a financial firm that you give your money to them and they buy on your behalf. It doesn't really matter which investment strategy you follow, as long as you really understand it well. Because you cannot blame other people for using and misusing your money and be oblivious to the fact that financial education is your responsibility. Now, in my personal capacity, I love property. We've been doing it for more than a decade, and we have learned a lot. We've made a lot of mistakes. We keep on educating ourselves. We have we've had the learnings, and we now understand it a lot better. And because of that, I prefer property as my go-to place. It may be gold for you. It may be silver, physical gold, physical silver. It may be Bitcoin. It may be Ethereum. It may be, the cryptos. But you really need to understand your asset classes that you invest in. In my personal capacity, I like something that I can feel and I can see and that I can go and inspect. I need to understand it to be able to invest in it. And if I don't, then I don't want to invest in that asset class. So make sure you have a very good understanding and you don't have other people using your money and abusing it. There are thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of stories of people that have given their money in good faith to other people that invested on their behalf just to find out that they were tricked into some wonderful investment opportunity, and it was too good to be true, and it ended up losing their money, everything or a lot of it. If another rule of thumb is if it sounds too good to be true, it generally is too good to be true. So be very careful. There is no quick rich scheme. There's none. If it's a quick rich scheme, you will lose your money quickly as well. But do make an effort of really understanding where you want to put your money. And if you want to do the safest thing, speak to people, expand your circle of influence. Talk to other people that have done this successfully for many years, not for the last 3 years, for 4 years. Speak to people that have been in it for decades, that has got the experience. They've run the gauntlet. They share the experience with you, and that when you wake up and you're going to talk about it, that that this is a good decision. All right. I hope you got that. I'm sure you did. Right. Next one. Number 10, financial structure. Super, super important. The wealthiest people in the world, they have very little in their personal names. Very little. They own assets through shares or a structure. They don't have properties maybe listed in their names. They don't have in their own personal names a lot of wealth. They have that wealth in a structure, and it's important to have financial advisors, people that can give you the right advice. And sometimes it's absolutely worth your while to pay for that consulting fees and get well-known people and organizations, companies, lawyers to help you with a financial structure. In our case, it's a number of companies that we are shareholders in through structures, and we've got a family trust that we've set up to build a legacy for our children and grandchildren. And it gives you a lot of tax optimization capability. Now, you don't want to avoid tax. It's very important that we all pay taxes and be good citizens of the different countries that we are in. However, you do want to make sure that you have the right structures in place to optimize your tax. And that's what we've done, and it's a real benefit for you. So make sure that you've got those structures set up for yourself. Now, once again, it's a topic of it's a huge topic of conversation. We can have a 3-hour conversation on this, and you need to educate yourself on this. But the banks are once again, and the financial institutions, the formal financial institutions, they sort of give you a false perception that your credit scores will go up if you've got a lot of credit cards and you own a home and then you can buy more. That's all good until you've actually, you've bought that first property and you've built a bit of a credit score. You do want to build a credit score, but thereafter, you do want to have your structures that assist you in building wealth. And that's really what a lot of wealthy people, well, all of them that I know, that's how they do it. They have structures set up, and they build their wealth in those structures with shareholding of companies in other companies and trust in companies. And the biggest benefit in a structure is the tax that you end up paying if you pass away, and your spouse, your partner, and all of that is in your own personal capacity. What happens is you pay a lot of tax, estate duty tax, because your assets are all listed in your name. And depending on which country and jurisdiction you're in most cases, you end up, the government, if you haven't set up those structures, the government will basically take a lot of tax on that. And if you've built a substantial portfolio over the years, which you will be doing if you're listening to this podcast, then you don't want to just give all your hard-earned money, after-tax money that you've used. So you've already paid personal income tax on your salary and on your remuneration that you've achieved over the many years. You've taken that after-tax money, you've invested it in whatever asset class works for you. You've built your wealth with after-tax money just to, when you pass away, you and your partner to be taxed again on all the wealth that you've created with after-tax money. And there are structures that help you in optimizing your tax. And it is painful. I do want to warn you that it is a lot of administration upfront to get it done, and you're going to fill in loads and loads of paperwork and send emails back and forth and get it done. It's a couple of it's going to take you a few hours and days to get this set up, and you're back and forth, and it takes you probably 3 to 6 months to get everything sorted. So it's not an easy process in any way, but it is a long game that you are playing. And so you are willing to invest in, setting up your structures up front for the longer term. And this is something that people say, but, I don't need to do this. I'm not yet close to retirement. It's not to do with anything about retirement. It's about building your wealth. All right. That takes us then to the 11th point of passive income being your route to freedom. All right, so what is passive income? So people say passive income is you just get money and you don't have to work for it. And there is no pure definition of passive income. My definition of passive income is it's an asset class that creates money for you, puts money into your pocket without you spending too much time on it. So if you own a rental property, as an example, you have that rental property is paid off. You've got it in a structure, so you've optimized your tax on it. You can expense quite a bit of that property that is expensed. All the maintenance, all of that is paid off, against tax. And then after all of that expenses, you have cash flow positive coming into your pocket. And you don't have to physically work to get that. You have to do maintenance, and you maybe have a management agent that you pay a small fee to. That not a small fee, they range from 10 to 20% of your income that you earn on that property. But really, a passive income is putting money into your pocket which you don't actively work or in employment to generate that money for you. It can even be a money market that's passive income. So now you're earning interest. You've put money aside in a money market while you're looking and searching for the next big investment that you're going to make, and you're earning interest on that money in the money market and in bonds. So that's passive income coming in, putting money into your pocket. You can then, just keep on adding that money into that portfolio. So you start earning interest on interest. But passive income is a portfolio that you start building. In our case, we love property, so we've got more than one that as we are working, as we are generating income, as we are keeping our living expenses the same. You'll remember from last week, don't raise your living standards when you get promotion. But as you make more money and you keep your expenses low and you don't change your standard of living significantly, you always will have more and more money, and so you will grow your asset class. And over time, and that's the compounding effect of this, your passive income stream will be a lot bigger. Now, Robert Kiyosaki talks about getting out of the rat race. Now, that's a very important point, which is part of the passive income conversation, in that as soon as your passive income is equal to your living expenses, what you need, your food that you need to eat every day, your accommodation where you stay, your insurance, your medical insurance, your health insurance, the basics that you've covered, a little bit of pocket money. Once you have your passive income equals your living expenses, you actually out of the rat race. You are in a position where you can resign your job, don't have to work, because your passive income without working is matching your expenses. Now you've got freedom. You've got freedom to choose, where you want to work. What do you want to do? Is it something, do you want to take a year off and travel, as an example? But as soon as your passive income meets your expense level, day-to-day expenses, monthly expenses, you are now out of the rat race, and now you've got freedom. All right, and that is the route to freedom. In our case, it was quite a number of years to build that, to be in that position. And it is really a freedom of choice. It is phenomenal what it does to your mind and why you want to do this, because it frees up your mind to be in this employee mindset. I have to work to survive, or versus I choose to work because I've got a bigger plan. I choose to work because I've got an investment strategy. I've got a bigger plan. I'm building businesses. Whatever is you are passionate about. Now that you've built your passive income, you've built your asset base, now you've got the freedom to move to the next level. And the compounding effect of this is phenomenal. If you take this over a 20-year period, you will just see money on money on money on money, income on income and income. Because remember from last week, you keep your living standards the same. You don't want to keep up with the Joneses. You want to build your wealth. You want to play the long game. And that long game is at least 20 years. All right. But we can do a lot in 10 years. We started very late, and we were able to do a phenomenal job in about 10 years. And it's put us out of the rat race, that we have now this freedom to choose what we want to do. All right, we're moving on. Hope you're still with us and enjoying this. Great. All right, I'm sure you are. All right, let's move on. Point number 12, don't work for money, let money work for you. All right, there's a concept about the scarcity of money. A lot of people, most people believe there's this basket of money available in a country or in a sector of the economy, and I get a portion of that basket of money. I may be a very junior employee, so now I'm only getting a portion of the available money to be paid to everybody. And so money is scarce. There's only so much of it that goes around. I'll pause there. What's your view on that? The truth is, there's an abundance of money. Money, we'll go to that in the next one, is an idea. But let's just work on this one. Let your money work for you. Money must go out and do work for you. So think about yourself working as an employee or as a professional, whatever job you do. You work, you give your labor hours, and you get paid for it. Now, you want money to do the same for you. As an example, let's say you've got a savings account that earns you 2.5% of interest, right? You can take that same money and put it in a money market or a better, a fixed term account that, you give them 3 months notice to withdraw the money or 32 days notice to withdraw the money. Suddenly you get a 1.5% extra interest on that money. So where will you put the money? Will you put it in a savings account that gives you a lower interest rate, or will you put it in a money market account that will give you a higher interest rate? Well, it seems to me it's clear that you will do it in a money market account. If the same is equal, you can immediately get your money available. In both accounts, there's no difference. Just the one has maybe got a threshold of a certain value. But why would you want to put your money in a place where it doesn't work as hard as it would have if you put it in another asset class or in another place where it can work for you? So money must go out and it must go and do some work. And so you must always think about money as doing work for you, not you working for money. And that's a very different mindset. Money must work for you, not you for money. That was a short one. We're moving on to the second last one for this week is how to make money. Once again, from the two previous points, a lot of us grow up with the sentiment that we work for money and there's a scarcity of money available in the market and it can be distributed to so many people and some are getting the majority and others are getting a lot less, but there's a scarcity. There's only this basket of money and I get my little piece of it. The reality is that money is an idea. What do I mean by that? Now, there's a book of Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Great book. He's already passed away many years ago, but it's a top seller for many, many years in the entrepreneurial and business world. And yeah, there's so much to learn from that book. But the first thing is that you realize that money is an idea. And so if you have a business idea, I'll give you an example. About a half a year ago, about 7 months ago, I was traveling a lot to different mine sites, and we were at this particular airport, a smallish type airport in country where there was no coffee shop. You couldn't find takeaway coffee, and it was a busy little airport. And I said to one of my colleagues that was traveling with me every week, I said, if you were to put a mobile coffee shop up at this airport, you will make a killing, because immediately there's an idea, you see the gap in the market, and you simply want to put that in action and take that idea and put it into money, make money out of it. So it was literally within 4 months. I think we were on this project for about 6 months. We were traveling every week. No, 4 to 5 months. I can't recall exactly. And in the last month of traveling to this airport, somebody, and you guessed right, yes, they put up a mobile coffee shop outside of the airport. And I'm sure they're doing well, because the gap is there, the idea is there. They took the idea, they saw the gap, took the idea, and now they're making money. So the money was created. It didn't exist before. That place didn't exist before. And you really want to do that, where you have the freedom out of the rat race, and we're connecting to the previous point. We're out of the rat race. We have got the freedom now to choose what we want to do. It's during this time that you get at your most creative, because you look for opportunities, but you actually start seeing them, and you see that there's a business idea, and you will be surprised. You will absolutely be surprised, and you will be, it will be an aha moment for you, as it was for me, that you don't have to work for money. Money is an idea. You must take that idea, put it into action, have a real plan in place, be diligent, be disciplined, have the tenacity to see your ideas through, learn from your mistakes, move on. But you can create money from an idea. And that's, if you think about Tesla, if you think about SpaceX, about somebody that said, well, in this case, Elon Musk said, why do we destroy rockets every time we put up a spaceship? Why don't we reuse the rocket? It's an idea. And if you watch the documentaries on that, they were up with their last little bit of money investment to get that last one to land safely back after it was launched. And that was just SpaceX, how they built that company from nothing with an idea to go to Mars. And so you can create money with an idea. The final point, and this is probably the most important point to me about why do you want to build personal wealth. In our case, and I've mentioned it before, we don't really mind about what we own. We don't believe we own anything. We are custodians of what we have been blessed with. But in our case, we want to build wealth so that we can make the world a better place, so that you are in a position to be a blessing for others. And that's a sustainable, happy life where you have an abundance and you can bless other people with your abundance. And there's such a joy in doing that. There's a joy in giving back. There's a joy in enabling people and helping them and growing them. And for us, the realization over many years that, it's not about the neighborhood. It's not about the car you drive. It's not about the clothes you wear, but it's about the difference that you are making in the world. Has given us so much joy and happiness that you cannot find in material things, although it's the material things that enable that. Very difficult to get along in life without these material things. But why don't you take and build your personal wealth to get out of the rat race where it's a grind, where it's every month you don't have anything left, you don't have spare money left, you know that you're not building wealth, you're just paying off credit cards and you're paying off debt. It's no joy, it's no fun. Why don't you think about this differently? And think about the difference you can make once you have built a personal wealth plan for yourself. You've executed on that plan. It's 10 years later and you see the fruits of your hard labor and your decisions. And suddenly you can make so much of a difference in the world. And that's why we're doing it. We're having fun, we're building businesses, and we have the choice and the freedom to do that in the way that we want to do it and to make a difference in the way we want to make a difference. And I still love my profession of mining. I still love it as the primary business we are in. But the joy and the freedom and the fun that you have and the ability to bless others is a lot more. That's it for this week. I'm sure you enjoyed it, and I'm sure it's meaning and it's helping. But I do want to ask you a favor. If this means something to you, if this helps you, why don't we pay it forward a bit and share it with somebody else that you know in your close circle, family or friends, that these last 2 podcasts on building personal wealth has helped you. Why don't you share that with somebody else? And maybe this can make a difference to them. So we want to start with this Mining Coach podcast with adding more value, not just to you listeners, but asking you to add more value to others by sharing what you've learned and just share it with them and make a difference as you grow and build your career. That's it for this week. I'm going to recap what we covered today and then we'll sign off. So number 8 was assets and liability. What's the difference between the two? Have a clear investment strategy. Set up the correct financial structure. Passive income is the route to freedom. Don't work for money, but let money work for you. Second last, money is an idea. And finally, live a life of giving back. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Keep on sharing and adding value to others. Cheers.